Oh, is that? I may have seen that image, but is that from your
Oh,
kind of your backyard, right? I
you
mean,
know, no. You know this one. This is,
oh gosh, so that's over on the Go Road going down to 395.
yeah, I'd go into that town where we would,
What's the name of the town? Isn't that terrible?
yeah, it's kind of a
Anyways, we're in,
marine-based town.
yeah, Lone Pine going down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got a question for you to start today's off. You've had people oftentimes wonder about the really black blacks that you get, right? And it kind of goes with our last show a little bit where we talked about the F-64 club, but you're known for having for having black blacks. So I'm curious in your thoughts on that. And I think you even had somebody ask you about that in an email, didn't you, recently?
We had a camera club who was going to have their next, I don't know,
Ah,
presentation or a workshop or something on crush the blacks. And
oh,
they
I
wanted
like
to
that.
know how I got my black blacks. And I responded by saying, my blacks aren't any blacker than anyone else's. There's just more of them.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I went through what I do to get more blacks. I typically am underexposing, I'm using levels, I'm adding contrast. And I talked about it, and I use sometimes glossy paper will give you a deeper
Okay.
looking black. And I went through it all. And I said, but you know what? If you just take these things that I do and apply them to your images without any vision, you're just likely to have darker images that you don't like.
Yeah.
It's the vision behind it that makes the blacks effective. And so you really need to have a vision of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
You just can't apply techniques. In fact, that's what I call technique driven photography.
Mhm.
You learn a new technique, you apply it to a bunch of images, you hope some of them will turn out, and then you move on to the next technique, you apply them, and next technique. And that's not how I work. I gain my vision for the image, and then I learn the technique needed to execute it. And that often means that I'm shooting something that I don't know how to do,
But
but I
out of
learn.
curiosity, though, in fairness to some of that critique, you do have more blacks than
More
most people
blacks, but they're
do.
not blacker than
No,
anybody
I
else's
agree.
black.
But you do have more blacks. And so what
Yeah.
is from a vision standpoint, what drives that more blacks in your mind?
I just love the contrast
Ah,
between the darks and the lights. And it looks blacker because there's often, this hard edge with a very bright
yeah.
right on the other side. But again, it's the vision that's the important part, not the technique that got me to a blacker looking black.
Right.
And
And
that's
I,
why, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Oh no,
No.
that's why but I also think from listening to you when we're doing our workshops together, you also use blacks to get rid of
Oh,
detail,
yeah, yeah.
would be another reason,
To
right?
simplify the image.
And essentially, are you saying in that situation that, hey, I don't want you to notice this detail, so I'm going to remove it so that you're really helping the viewer focus on the contrast rather than the detail?
Yeah, it's hard for me to put into words how to describe my vision, but these are the types of images that I love. They are very dark, they're very contrasty, very simple,
Yeah.
um, just how I see. And it's important that everybody sees how they see, not just to take a technique and
Yeah.
apply it to a bunch of images. To me, that's like going to Vegas and pulling the handle 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to get lucky maybe once if you're lucky,
Yeah.
but it's better to go in knowing what you want. And
Yeah. Snoopy or Woodstock?
Pigpen.
Okay. Well, good
I don't think.
discussion. Good discussion about it because I think people do have, kind of like your celibacy. There's some visceral reactions by people who tend to see in this box that you're supposed to have detail in the shadows. But it is, I mean, when I think about looking at your prints on the table when we spread those out when we do the workshop, contrast is immediately evident in most all of your images.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
but
and
but
that's
the
not
best
everybody's cup of tea either.
that's and that's fine. But the but the point that I love that you made the point to the group that so now you know how to do it, but apply it with purpose.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Good. All right, bud. Next time.